In the heart of West Africa, long before modern borders were drawn, there lived a princess whose courage and defiance would give birth to a legendary dynasty. Her name was Yennenga. She was not just royalty, she was a warrior, a leader, and a matriarch of a kingdom that continues to shape the history and culture of Burkina Faso to this day. This is the story of Princess Yennenga, a story of strength, love, and an unshakable spirit of a woman determined to forge her own path. Yennenga was born in the royal family of the Mossi Kingdom in what is now northern Ghana. Her father, King Yennenga, was a powerful ruler who led a mighty empire with discipline and valor. From a young age, Yennenga showed that she was no ordinary princess. While other girls in the kingdom learned domestic tasks, Yennenga was drawn to the battlefield and captivated by the art of war. She would watch soldiers train, her heart pounding with excitement at the sight of spears flying through the air, the clash of swords, and the thunder of horses' hooves. Seeing her passion, her father allowed Yennenga to train alongside the other kingdom's warriors. It was an unusual choice for a king to let his daughter join the ranks of his army. But Yennenga's skills soon proved that she was more than worthy. By the time she was a teenager, she had become one of the most skilled horse riders and archers in the kingdom. Her reputation spread far and wide, and the people began to call her the warrior princess. Yennenga led her father's armies into battle, defeating enemies with tactical brilliance and fierce determination. She was a leader, not just because of the royal lineage, but because of the respect she commanded from her troops. They followed her not just out of loyalty to the king, but because they believed in her. They believed her courage was unshakable and her resolve was unbreakable. But despite her victories on the battlefield, Yennenga's personal battles are only the beginning. While Yennenga's military prowess brought her glory, it also placed her at odds with the expectations of her family and her culture. As she grew older, her father began to worry. According to tradition, Yennenga should have been married by now, producing heirs who one day would secure the kingdom's legacy. But Yennenga had no interest in marriage or being confined to the domestic life of a queen. She craved freedom, the thrill of battle, and the right to chart her own destiny. King Yennenga, blinded by his desire to keep his daughter close and to secure the future of his kingdom, refused to see that Yennenga's desires were different from what the tradition dictated. He became overprotective, keeping her to the royal palace and denying her requests to travel or fight. In his eyes, Yennenga's place was to marry a suitable prince and give the kingdom a future king, not to lead armies across the land. But Yennenga was not one to be caged. Yennenga's heart yearned for something more, something far beyond the life that her father meticulously planned for her. You know how it is. Sometimes you feel trapped, like the walls are closing in, and every breath you take is dictated by somebody else's rules. That's exactly how Yennenga felt, stifled and suffocated by the weight of expectations that honestly she never asked for in the first place. She was a warrior at heart, not just a princess confined by royal duties, and she knew that she had to break free. So, in one of the boldest moves of her life, Yennenga decided that she couldn't live like that anymore. In a daring act of defiance, with the help of one of her most trusted soldiers, she came up with a plan, one that would change everything. She disguised herself as a man, in which, if you think about it, was quite the gamble in those days. Mounted on a royal horse, she rode into the night, leaving behind the towering palace walls and the heavy burden of royal duty that had weighed her down for far too long. Her journey wasn't easy, far from it in fact. It was long, dangerous, and full of challenges. She headed north, across sprawling savannas that seemed to stretch endlessly, through thick and mysterious forests and over wide and unpredictable rivers. She faced peril from wild animals lurking in the shadows, hostile warriors ready to strike, and of course, the sheer unpredictability of nature. But through it all, Yennenga's resolve never wavered, not once. She was determined, fiercely so, to find a place that she could live on her own terms, a place where she could finally be free. You know that feeling of when you're chasing something bigger than yourself. That was Yennenga, every step of the way. And then, after what must have felt like an eternity, she finally found it. Deep in the wilderness, far from the noise and constraints of the royal world that she left behind, Yennenga came across a solitary hunter named Riale. He was captivated by her bravery and strength as expected, traits that not everyone would have recognized back in her palace. They quickly formed a bond and the kind of connection that just feels right. Riale offered her refuge, a place where she could breathe freely and be herself. Together, they built a life that neither of them could have imagined. far away from the pressures of the royal obligations and the societal expectations. Yennenga's heart, once hardened by the many battles that she fought and the endless restrictions placed on her, began to soften. She found love in one of the most unexpected places. But, as we all know, love doesn't always stay hidden for long. Their love, though secluded in wilderness, gave birth to something extraordinary. From their union came a son, or with Drago, a name that translates to stallion in honor of the horse that carried Yennenga to her freedom, a beautiful nod to the beginning of her journey. Her son would grow up to be the founder of the Mossi Kingdom, one of the most powerful and influential empires in West African history. The Mossi people trace their lineage back to Princess Yennenga and honor her as the mother of their nation. Her story of defiance, her courage, and the determination to forge her own path is central to the identity of the Mossi people. Under her son's leadership, the Mossi Kingdom grew to be a formidable force, encompassing much of present-day Burkina Faso. It became a center of culture, trade, and military power, with a dynasty that would last for decades. And at the heart of it all was Yennenga, whose bravery and spirit laid the foundation for an empire. Today, Yennenga's legacy lives on not just in the Mossi people, but in all of Burkina Faso. She is celebrated as a national treasure, a symbol of strength, independence, and the power of a woman to shape history. Her story is a reminder that tradition, while important, should never be a cage. Yennenga's refusal to be bound by the expectations of her time allowed her to become an authentic spar of change, a leader, and the matriarch of a kingdom that would stand the test of time. In Burkina Faso's capital, Ouagadougou, a statue of Princess Yennenga riding a horse stands tall, a constant reminder of her indomitable spirit. The stallion that carried her to her freedom is forever immortalized alongside her, symbolizing the courage it took to break free from the chains of convention. Yennenga's story is one of love and rebellion, and is also a story of importance, knowing who you are and having the courage to pursue your destiny, no matter the obstacles in your way. She could have easily accepted the path laid out for her, a life of comfort, security, and tradition, but she knew in her heart that there was something more that was waiting for her. And it was through following her calling that she was able to create something far greater than herself. In the end, Yennenga's story serves as a powerful reminder that greatness often lies beyond the boundaries of expectation. She could have easily chosen the life set out for her, but instead, she followed her heart, embracing her true potential and changing the course of history. Her legacy teaches us that true strength is not just physical, but also found in trusting your instincts, taking risks, and carving your own path. This video is supported by Africa No Filter.